Hello, I'm Melanie of Mellesah Sound, CC's Hues in Business podcast. I welcome my guest, Allyson Portee. With 12 years of professional experience and having lived in 9 countries, Ally's background firstly started in communications in the public affairs sector. The organization and protocol that her internships in the U.S. and British governments required prepared her for the world of magazines. Today, she's found herself in a totally different arena, fashion journalism. Developing an eye for couture craftsmanship, Ally's learned how to put intricate and detailed collections into words. She's also developed relationships with some of the world's most leading brands, covering Paris Fashion Week and consulting for fashion companies, the Saudi government, and the Korean government. She currently writes for Seele, Forbes Middle East, and The Hollywood Reporter. Ally studied history for her BA in Washington, D.C. at the George Washington University and international relations for her MA at Hult International Business School in London, England. Having lived in Berlin and Beirut, Ally worked with refugees from over 15 nationalities, which contributes to her love of serving the vulnerable, travel, and culture. She loves lifestyle and faith, meshing them together with her digital magazine, Seele. Every year since 2015, Ally's organized panel discussions at Hult International Business School in London with the intent of business graduate students gleaning wisdom from some of today's most successful leaders. It's my pleasure to host Ally Portee. Hello, welcome, my sister. Good to
Hi.
meet you for the first time. I feel like I know you, and I'm so grateful for this time with you. Thank you.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Nurse. And quoting Scott McQuarrie, who you spoke with just before the music festival, um, he said, I think we get so caught up in just our everyday lives and our own little bubble that we kind of sometimes forget to think, oh, there's a humongous world out there. There's lots of folks out there. And in that interview, you both agreed, Ally, you and Scott McQuarrie, country music star, that our stories, people, each other, our stories show we're all a lot more alike than we are different. And that fact alone motivates the purpose for this podcast, for this conversation. I'm grateful for you and your wonderful yes to be my very, very first guest on the new Hues in Business podcast. Thank you very much.
Well, Mel, I just want to say thank you so much for having me. Thank you for reaching out, and I'm just so happy to be here and to just have a wholesome conversation with you. Who I say I am right now is the founder of my baby, my magazine, Seele. Seele is the German word for soul. And Holy Spirit actually gave me the name for the magazine. But yes, I am the founder of Seele Magazine, and I have a podcast called The Soulful Side of Life, which is also my baby. And I enjoy those two things immensely. And I also am a fashion contributor. Another thing that God, like a curveball that God threw at me, because fashion was not a passion that I had growing up or even in university, and I stumbled into it. So, yes, a magazine founder, a podcaster, and a fashion contributor.
I love all of that. It resonates with me because I've had the same aspirations, and to see you living it out loud, globetrotting the way that you do, I just love it. You've lived in 9 countries, and I'm thrilled to know that you're multi-passionate. You use your time so very well. What role or which roles have you found, Ally, most fulfilling?
I would say the roles or the moments, the experiences that were the hardest because in those times God was using, he uses hardship and challenge to break chains, to course correct, to build, to sanctify. And so the moments, and I kind of made a small list here. In college, when I was a freshman, 18, went to DC for school. I decided to start a college Republicans club on campus. Not to get political at all, but that was a challenge for me at the time because I grew up a very shy child. Um, I wouldn't say confident. I was more shy and scared of public speaking and putting myself out there. And by starting a club, no matter what it was, it forced me to speak publicly and to, yeah, put myself out there in a way that I had never been challenged, like in high school or my growing up years. So that was a pivotal moment for me because that began to break the mold of being able to have the confidence to speak outside of a group of two or three people. Something it was crippling for me to to do that before that. So that helped me with public speaking fears. Um, I would say in 2009, right before the summer before my senior year of college, I went to Spain to live with a family to be an au pair for the summer. And that helped me in the sense that the oldest son of the family that I lived with, he said to me one day, he's like, "Why are you so closed, so shy, so you're quiet. Why? You need to stop." Like, and that really helped me come out of his shell even more. Another example is I hosted an International Women's Day panel in Berlin when I lived there in 2015, I think it was. And I ran into so much opposition in doing that event. And by the time it happened, I was beaten down, worn out, tired, but it strengthened me in such a big way. And then another moment is founding Seele. It came in different phases, but that was, I think when you can start something and create something that nobody can take away, it's very empowering. And so that's what Seele is for me, to be able to create something that no one can take away has been a pivotal moment. And then 2012, giving my life to Christ was also a very pivotal moment. Yeah.
I love that. Oh wow, that's outstanding. I love the fact that you cherish the struggle, you cherish the challenges. You were sharpened and you've been refined. I love that answer. Fantastic. And, mentioning the fact that you started a Republicans club isn't getting political. You're stating facts. And I think it's fantastic. Because it's not easy. One, I don't know if did you do that your freshman year or?
My freshman year, I was 18, and it was more so challenging because I was at a women's universities because I graduated from GW, but I started off at Trinity University in DC, a women's university, and then transferred my last 2 years to George Washington University. But women's universities tend to be very liberal, and I was operating in a total liberal environment, and nothing wrong with that. I you know have no, I love my Democratic friends, but what I'm saying is when you're operating in an environment that's completely opposite to what you are doing, you're gonna face naysayers. You've got to be able to think on your feet. You've got to be able to have answers to be able to healthily debate. And that's what I would say that also provided being able to be able to get along and have discussions in a healthy way with people who are on the different a different political perspective than me.
And was that before or after? I didn't remind me again about the dates. Was that prior to you choosing Christ as Lord and getting into the Bible? Were you in the, because you and your family, you grew up in the church, and is that right?
I
Okay.
did.
So you were, and I didn't. So I did not really even study the Word of God until I was an adult. Right. So that's why I asked. I know that, and two, sometimes people can grow up in the church, but really not study the word.
Yeah.
So thank you for letting me ask that.
Of-
But I asked that question because it sounds like you were exercising exactly what the word tells us to do, to to be prepared to answer eloquently versus arguing or being defensive.
yeah.
I find that very impressive.
I actually starting university, that was before becoming born again. I did grow up in a Christian household. I went to church every Sunday, Sunday school, Wednesday night church service, but you can grow up in a Christian environment but still not know Jesus personally. We can't ride the coattails of our parents' faith. We must come to know Christ for ourselves, especially as we're moving into becoming an adult. So I always had a strong sense of God. I would go so far even to say I had a relationship with God, but it was very surface level. I wasn't a wild child or anything. I just didn't know Jesus intimately. That didn't come till 2012 when I became born again and I started college in 2006. So,
Thank you. I just love to hear the journey. Now, you're such an enterprising entrepreneur. How early did you feel that spirit within you? You've described well your involvement in more within your inner leadership strengths. And I love the spunk of your Spain family member to challenge you. Are you
he
still in
really
touch with them, by the way?
I'm not. Occasionally with his mother I am, but
Okay.
I have told him maybe two or three times. I'm like, I don't think you realized that you changed my life in a way.
That's wonderful.
And God was using him to grow me. Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. I think that's wonderful. And again, going back to that Scott McQuarrie conversation, we're all on this level playing field. I think it was Dr. Billy Graham who said, all ground beneath the cross is level. And
Hmm.
that's whether you believe in the fact that the crucifixion happened or, all the fact is all humanity is equal level.
Yeah.
And yes, ma'am. Well, I'm fascinated. I love your story. Um, Tell me about the 9 locations. I'm totally living vicariously through you. So take it away. Tell us about your, well, excuse me, I didn't allow you to answer the first question, and that was how early did you recognize within yourself leadership qualities as well, especially, I should say, as an entrepreneur, wanting to have your own, like you do with the magazine.
Um, Leadership qualities. Maybe it was in the summer after eighth grade. My parents sent me, I think it was a 2 week youth leadership camp for girls in our hometown. Um, I got a scholarship to go, and it was at the college that my mom went to college at. And so that was a very pivotal moment in terms of leadership-esque life. My father is a politician, so I grew up around politics since I was born. I was born in '88. It was a presidential election year. I was born into it. And seeing my father run for office and give speeches and knock on doors and ask for campaign donations, I was always exposed to that kind of leadership. But in terms of in myself, going to that summer camp was a huge shift in my life because I learned leadership principles. They brought in inspiring women to speak to us. And when my parents picked me up from the camp, they said, tomorrow we're going to Charleston because President Bush will be speaking and we have tickets to go. And so and then we were able to get another ticket. So my first cousin, she and I were like sisters at the time. We went and it was so exciting. And then right out, because my parents sat on the front row of President Bush giving that speech, and my cousin and I were sitting on the bleachers. But right after it was over, we rushed up to the front, and President Bush was coming down the line of, whoever was at the front. And I stuck out my hand, and I remember like telling my cousin, put your hand out. And all of a sudden, this other hand grabs my hand, and it was the President of the United States. And I'm never washing my hand again. That was a pivotal moment. So I began to get very much politically active in the gubernatorial campaign at that time. Then President Bush came back again, and I got to sit on stage behind him. And yeah, when Mark Sanford was running and Lindsey Graham were running for their seats, that was the beginning of me saying, wow, this is something cool. But I never thought that I wanted to be a leader. And then I went to school in DC, and I interned in Congress and in the White House and different times in Congress, nonprofits, political campaigns, starting that college Republicans, taking and going with other DC schools to campaign trips in Pennsylvania and Massachusetts and uh, Maryland. Yeah. And that began, I guess even when I was president of college Republicans, I never had this thought to be a leader. I think I'm just coming into that entrepreneurial mindset that you were speaking about before now. And I had an interview yesterday, and I said to the woman, I said, I always envisioned sitting at other people's tables. I never envisioned creating a table or building something.
And
But
nothing wrong with that. Nothing
right,
wrong
right.
with that.
There's nothing wrong because not everybody's meant to go build a table, right? But I have found myself in the last years being pushed out of tables. And it's a very hard road to walk. Um, and so I have started creating my own tables. My hand has been pushed to do that, but I'm finding it a fun journey. I still don't think of myself as an entrepreneur.
Okay, because
And
you're having so much fun. I'm telling you, lady, I have, just going through your IG, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't, and mind you, you let me know. I mean, you've got more than one YouTube channel. So, I mean, the content just doesn't, and you have over 100 episodes on Apple Podcast. I'm telling you, I don't mean to gush, like I said before we started recording. I am so thrilled to have come across your content. It's rich, it's diverse, it's informative, it's encouraging, it's enlightening, it's Christ-centered. You accept people as they are, where they're at. We have to we have to embrace one another as is. We're all on a journey towards higher ground. I don't care who you are, what socioeconomic group, what party, doesn't matter. Your zip code, your complexion, we're all in this together. And I find your content brilliantly delivered, so welcoming. By the way, and I know I'm starting to whisper, can you tell? I hope that you get an interview with the Styling Brothers that you posted this morning. I've been following them, and I'm cheering for you. I just
Yeah.
love everything I've seen. I absolutely love the magazine.
Thank
I myself have wanted to do a magazine years ago. I think maybe my first entrepreneurial stint, a woman offered to sell me her newsletter. Now, Allie, you see the gray hair. So I graduated high school 2 years before you were born. Thank you for sharing your birthday. I just want you to know again, right? Iron sharpens iron. It doesn't matter the age or season. When there's a fire in us and we're inspired to do certain things, do it no matter what stage of life you're in, right? And you encourage me. We can encourage one another regardless of age. It's about experience, wisdom, and just embracing one another. Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead. I didn't mean to.
Oh, no, no worries at all. Yes, I think we should strive to look at people as blessings. I know not everyone is a blessing. Some people are lessons, but I just am very grieved by envy and jealousy, and it really cuts off productivity. And if we can see each other as iron sharpening iron, then we can be blessed by people that we are spending time being envious of. Yeah.
And I think it's a matter of learning. Would you say?
Yes.
If we don't know what we don't know, and depending on the environment you've been surrounded by in the atmosphere most of your life, that if that's all you saw was highly critical, um, backstabbing, whatever,
Yeah.
the toxicity is what I'm trying to describe. If that's all you've seen, um, until we're in other environments and we are, just enlightened by someone who actually is walking a walk we can see ourselves walking, a better mindset, more positive vibes and attitudes. And again, that's not age dependent, at any stage in life, you can decide, I do not want to have any more stinking thinking, as they used to say.
Mhm.
I want to reach my highest potential, and that starts with my mind. I have to make a decision to be whoever I choose to be. And if I have to learn from a 3-year-old how to have a better attitude and be more grateful and be more open to learn what I just don't know yet, you know. But listen, I'm a work in progress, trust me.
Yeah, we all are.
Yes,
We
yes,
all.
ma'am. So share more, Allie. How did you go from um I love the story of you meeting President Bush. I'm sure your parents have been continuously proud of you. I'm proud of you, and I've only known of you for a matter of days. So I can only imagine how proud they are. By the way, I just want people to know, I love the fact that you've involved your parents as features, at least in the online magazine. And I think your mom wrote one of the earlier articles, and then you wrote an article from as you interviewed your father. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I could sense his sense of humor.
He
And
is funny.
yes, ma'am. I love that. And I did see there's more recent material. I want to go back and listen to your mom's story. Maybe that was this past fall.
I
Uh,
this past summer, yeah, where she talked about getting cancer in her early 20s and being in a very bad car accident just 2 years before.
I've not listened to that yet, but that caught my attention. I really want to go back and listen to that. You have a sister?
I'm the only child.
Okay, good for you. I was the only child for about 5 years. Those were the days. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No, I'm
I
blessed.
wanted a sibling though. I
Yeah,
I begged my
I'm
parents. I
being
remember being
facetious.
5 and I had some pennies on my little dresser and I took some pennies to my dad and I said, "Can you go to the store to buy tomorrow and buy me a baby brother?" I wanted a baby brother, not a baby sister.
Why do you think you desired a brother versus a sister? I'm just curious.
I don't know why at that age I would have wanted a brother. Now, if you ask me that question, well, I think it would be nice to have a sibling because as parents get older, it's good to have someone to help
Yes,
with that.
yeah,
But until my parents reach an age where, they will need more attention, I'm
yeah,
okay being the only child.
absolutely.
But if you were to ask me now why I wanted an older brother, maybe it's about I think I've always had more male friends than
Yeah,
female friends in turn like in high school. Guys are just easier
easier,
to hang
totally.
out with. They're not drama. It's not, this
Right.
competition.
I think women and the sisterhood, I think we've evolved.
Yeah.
I hope we can. I hope we have. That's my perspective. I
I
think
don't know.
it's
What I
okay.
see in the fashion and entertainment world, women can be so manipulative,
Okay.
so calculating. And I think because the fashion world is about being seen and it's me, look at me, it's just more cutthroat. And I said this in the interview I had yesterday. I was listening to Caroline Stanbury's podcast, maybe it was back in the summer, and she was saying how she's got friends, female friends, who will only befriend other females who have lesser education than them or who have not accomplished nearly as much as them because their egos and their self-esteem is so low that they only let in people who they perceive to be under them so that they can feel better.
Yeah, I
And I
watched
think
a very
that's
good interview. She's married to, you were the real nice husband. You all were,
Sergio Corello is her husband.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
he
yes,
played for
yes.
Real Madrid, their soccer
I,
team.
excuse me for speaking over you.
Oh, no worries.
I really enjoyed your conversation with her. I
Yeah,
really did. And I wasn't familiar with her prior to your interview.
yeah.
Um, and I just don't watch a lot of TV. There are movies, and there's so many things I haven't seen yet. So, um, but I really enjoyed the interview, the conversation between the two of you. She seems like she's just genuinely, authentically
Oh, yeah.
very, very nice, down to earth. She was, transparent, honest. I did like her.
Direct.
Say it again.
Direct. She's
Yeah,
very direct.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And we don't want anything less than that, right?
right.
I could tell she really appreciated you. I could see the respect. And yeah, definitely an interview that I think many will enjoy. But I am grateful for when we are able to find like-spirited, like-hearted, like-minded individuals. So grateful to have come across your content and find the genuine woman that you
Well, you
are.
did ask me about the countries that I've lived in.
Tell me, yes.
Um, I always count the US in my nine because first country I lived in. Spain, the UK, um, France, Germany, uh, Saudi, Dubai or the UAE, Lebanon, and Italy. These are the nine countries. And I would say that every one of those places, God was working on me. Um, I do, God creates people and he is our ultimate parent, right? Our parents, he gives us to them for a time, for a season. And then I believe he takes over with parenting. I think a good parent knows how to let their child go even before they marry. Um, Especially, around that 18-year-old mark. Even if you stay living at home, I think the parent needs to change their relationship with their child and not be trying to control or treat the child as if they're 5 years old. And what I found in my walk is when I went to college at 18, God became my parent in the sense where I wasn't under my parents' household every day, right? I wasn't, yeah, with them every day. And so, um, God allowed me to go. He opened the door to these places and gave me the courage to go because not a lot of people have the courage to go even live in one country to deal with visas and apartments and all of the things you have to deal with when you live in another country, especially in a culture that's far different from yours. European culture, it's still the West, right? So there's going to be a lot of similarities for an American to go live in Canada or Australia or Europe. But when you start going to the Middle East or Africa or Asia, where, or, places that aren't similar, you're dealing with a whole nother set of challenges. And in all of these places, God looked after me. He took care of me. He took me to these places. And he worked on things within me that needed working on, character building, um, the journey of sanctification, being made more like Christ, um, teaching me about myself, things that needed to be broken off of me, mindsets that needed to be changed, chains that needed to be broken. So I'm forever grateful because his parenting, there are things that my parents couldn't teach me. Uh, Not because, yeah, I wasn't going to another country. You're dealing with a whole nother set of lifestyle and ways of living that I couldn't have learned under my parents' wing. But what they did give me is the foundation of things to be able to handle living in other countries. But then God took over, and I'm just amazed by him. Yeah, Christine, she's kind of like an old soul, and I think she tells it like it is, and but it's peppered with grace and gentleness and meekness. But just to be able to sit down with her and chat about, she's gone through traumas in her life, and she has also had to go through therapy often. So coupling that with, how do you go through life as a believer, as a leader, in Christianity, when and recognizing that you're broken, that she's broken, and navigating that through therapy and trying to make sense of life. What advice she would have for people who struggle with the same things as she does.
In the midst of all eyes on you on these platforms.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
And she
know.
said something very profound in her interview with Lecrae about a mentor once told her that you've got to be careful what you pray for because as many people as you influence, you can also hurt them. And she has noticed with a lot of, we've seen in the church in the last few years, a lot of fallen leaders who had these mega platforms to speak in arena-sized places, people who we would have never imagined to be as flawed as they are. And then, boom, they've influenced millions of people, but they've also let down millions of people. So we have to be careful because she was saying the devil is extremely patient and he sits back and he waits until somebody gets to a high influential level and boom, then they start disappointing people and people start losing their faith
And see,
because they've let down.
I get that point. Sometimes though, I feel like we again, we're all in this together, and then is some of the church accountable? Should some of the church take accountability for that, for not speaking up? Many times there are people that could easily just get a little bit uncomfortable and have those hard conversations and say, this is what I'm seeing, and you know,
I
go
think the
ahead.
church could be better at putting accountability railings around these people who get mega success in the church
Right. And we
because
put people up on pedestals
yes, yes,
sometimes when they don't ask to be there.
yes, that's true. And I was disheartened. I would love to sit down with Shia LaBeouf.
Hmm.
Um, he was arrested this week.
Oh, I didn't know
I
that.
don't know if you caught a story when he played Father Padre Pio, and he
Mhm.
became a believer, a radical, sold out believer for Christ.
Shy did or the character?
Shia
Okay.
did after playing Padre Pio,
Okay.
a revered Catholic monk, I think he was, Padre Pio. And he became radically sold out for Jesus,
Okay.
Shia. But then, yeah, I discovered last night, yeah, that he was arrested in New Orleans during Mardi Gras. And,
Mm.
the devil just doesn't leave anybody alone.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
he had
I'm so
addiction
grateful I
issues.
don't have cameras. It's I just I just sympathize with people because we just never are getting the entire story.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But go ahead, please forgive me for.
Oh no, worry. And that's a good point because I'm not justifying his behavior on Bourbon Street and getting in a fight with someone and drinking, but he has addiction issues that he has worked hard to try and overcome.
Yeah.
Alcoholism and maybe drug use is in there, but he lost his marriage,
Oh,
and that's a lot on a young man,
right.
and I think when you had a good woman, a good wife, and then your family's gone,
Mhm.
it affects a man.
Absolutely.
And though he may have given his life to Christ and he's got some more tools in his toolbox of faith that he can utilize versus before he became Christ, he may not have, he didn't have those tools before. He's going through a hard time and he's an
Absolutely.
example of falling. And I pray that he comes back to the Lord. Yeah. And
And
I
he
would
may not
love
have
to
left
just,
the Lord, right? I don't mean to correct you.
yeah,
When we stumble, doesn't mean we left God. It
yeah,
just means we just stopped holding his hand for a moment or whatever. I'm not,
I know
again,
what you
I
mean.
have a tendency to defend.
No, no, I know what you mean. And yes, very much so. And I would love to just sit and chat with him
Yeah,
on when we let go of his hand and how we find our way back to him and
yeah,
going through seasons of hardship, of loss, like a marriage and
absolutely.
what that does to you as a man. And yeah. I think he would be keen maybe to talk just because is it Page Six or one of these tabloids? In the days after his arrest, he was sitting in front of a coffee shop, just randomly, talking to this lady outside, and I think he's hungry for community.
That's
And
great. I love that. We'll pray for him.
yes,
Every soul needs Jesus. Every soul needs prayer. Yeah. And hey, he may be a guest on one of our platforms at
yeah,
some point, God willing, simply as a beloved brother who has a story to share when
yeah,
he's ready to
yeah,
share it. I
indeed.
love that. Anyone come to mind or anyone coming up? Um, Do you
So
have like a dream guest? Go ahead.
March is Women's History Month, so all of my podcast episodes will be dedicated to inspiring women.
Okay.
You have to stay tuned to see who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
I love that. Love it. Love it. I'm telling you, I hope and pray that I have the opportunity to feature you again on my podcast because there's so many avenues we could go down in
Yeah.
conversation. So many topics, whether it be there's so much. Life, life is just interesting, right?
Yes.
And you are such an interesting woman.
Thank-
I'm I'm just I'm fascinated. I'm thrilled. I'm proud of you. Um, and here's the thing, Allison, there's so much ahead of you that I can imagine. What do you imagine for your future?
It's going to be in this communications track that the Lord has me on, unless He completely brings something out of left field, but something in that vein. While I am part of the media industry, I'm not media. I don't have the same motivations and intentions as media, which builds up people and tears them down. Um, to just interview people and to listen to people's stories and provide a platform for people to tell their stories where they can trust that there's no ulterior motives, as the industry tends to have. And yeah, that's what I envision of just, I'm a relational person, highly relational. When I have lived abroad, I always had dinner parties and inviting people over, cooking for people, having community around a dinner table. I love that's somehow mixing in community dinner, telling stories is what I love.
Have you gotten a chance to enjoy any of the productions of Higher Ground Productions, such as Michelle Norris's podcast?
No, I'll have to take a look.
You just brought to mind, she has a podcast on Higher Ground Productions network called Your Mama's Kitchen.
Okay.
That may not be the correct title, but look up Michelle Norris, Your Mama's Kitchen, and it should come up. She does a great job of interviewing, um, and she just kind of conducts the interview surrounding your memories of Mom's Kitchen
Oh,
and the
no.
conversations. And it's a really cool platform
I'll have
and
to look it up.
diverse guest. And, of course, she's a fabulous um, communicator. Um, yeah, anything you're looking forward to, anything in 2026? Think,
I've got in a week Paris Fashion Week again.
okay,
So I'll be headed back to the City of Lights
wow.
for that. May is the Cannes Film Festival. And yeah, so those are what's in the close near future of things that I'm looking forward to. And of course, the podcast, of course, the magazine. And yeah.
No, your conversations regarding the study of the Bible with other women, is that continuing?
Yeah, and I do that with KB Chakala, who is a contributor to Seele. She's actually the faith editor. And we do it as Holy Spirit guides us to do it. So, yeah, our last one was on women of the Bible. And yeah, we will do a series or a podcast discussion when we feel the Lord lead us to do it.
And perhaps that could be a book.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. There's so many inspiring stories and wisdom from the Bible that even a movie uh, house, film studio couldn't think of. You know, the
Wow.
Book of Judges is just a movie in and of
Yeah.
itself, and the horrific things there. And I just would love for people to read the book,
Yeah.
to read it.
Specifically the Book of Judges or the entire collection?
Just the
Yeah.
Bible as a whole, I think, a lot of people don't read it because they think it's boring and
Not. Yeah.
not. It's so many
Right.
fascinating things, and everything you need to live your life is
Yes.
found in the Bible. And yeah.
Uh, Another question I want to ask you. I just remember, so one, I definitely am looking forward to watching the Bible study, the Women of the Bible episode. Two, I watched you make that Thanksgiving dinner, and I'm going to say something off camera. It looked divine, though. Oh my, all of that food.
I
Very
love
good for
I
you.
love cooking.
Kudos, kudos. And you did,
It's
I have,
therapy.
you, I cannot do turkeys. I mean, you were digging all in it and you did it,
Yeah,
girl. You
we
did it.
fry turkeys down here. So when you experience a fried turkey, you don't go back to oven. It melts in your mouth. And so, yeah, for me, it's therapy, and I love dinner parties, and I love hosting, and a good bottle of wine and good company and laughter and deep conversations and some,
I
I don't
have a
know,
book
Frank
idea.
Sinatra in the background and
You could do a book on your destinations with your favorite dinner party stories and put recipes in.
yeah, that's
We're not going to air that part so that you can go ahead and, yeah.
do it. Yeah, yeah.
We're not
Yeah.
going to give that idea away.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
making Jesus the center. When I
absolutely.
lived in Berlin, in my little studio, I would have 16 people over for Thanksgiving and
There's a movie called, it's not a spiritual movie by far. Under the Tuscan Moon with the actress Diane Lane.
oh yeah, Under the Tuscan Sun, I think.
Thank you. Why did I say?
It's okay.
Yes, that's so funny that I said that. I love that movie. But no, absolutely not a church movie.
Yeah,
But she, she was hosting her dinner parties and they had the community and I love the beautiful friendships. Is
yeah,
the point. Yeah,
yeah. Because Jesus was very highly relational, highly conversational, and to Zacchaeus, he's like, I'll come to your house for a meal. I
absolutely.
think you would find Jesus in somebody's backyard in the summertime with the lights, going back and
Absolutely.
forth.
We
And
have to be approachable. If we can't be, as they say, holier than thou, if our Lord, who we claim to follow, sat and accepted people as they were, the
yeah,
woman at the well, Mary, oh gosh, as she broke open that oil and the naysayers behind Jesus, and he just blessed her and saw her. That's how we're expected to love
yeah,
people, and I just want to grow more and more like him. Like I said, I'm a work in progress, but I just want to be able to see all, welcome all, because I didn't always know any
yeah,
better, right?
yeah,
And yeah,
yeah.
he's a glorious, glorious, glorious God.
Amen.
Really, really is. Yeah.
Amen. Yeah,
I'm so grateful to you. And I think that you are a wonderful, wonderful example of a follower of Christ, representing in the marketplace, keeping God at the center of your work, and everything that you do. And but accepting and meeting people where they're at and allowing them to accept you. And from what I can see on this end of the camera, you you extend grace as they accept you. And yeah, you know, it's not always warm and fuzzy. That's probably a book in itself, what
Mm,
you've referred to right now as warfare, right?
mhm.
Um, but you know, this isn't your stopping ground. You
Yeah,
know, you're just traveling through, representing him the best you can. You're an ambassador.
yeah.
But praise God, this is not your final destination. You
Indeed,
know,
indeed.
I'm
Indeed.
proud of you.
Thank you.
I'm really
Thank
proud
you.
of you.
And I'd love to hear your story, and all that God has brought you through and how he's used you in the world.
Amen, dear. Amen. In due time.
Yep. Time.
In due time.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm praying for you and your family. Know that. I just naturally, I don't know, I just appreciated your mom's piece. What I did was I went to the blog space of Zayla and went all the way to the beginning, very
Wow.
first entry, the young
Wow.
lady that wrote about the shoes.
Yeah.
Um,
Rachel, I think the
yeah,
title.
and I loved her. You know, that's the thing too about the Bible, about writing. You come with your own style.
Yeah.
One person's blog can be an interview, one's could be a list,
Yeah.
instructional, one can be a testimony or transformation story.
Yeah.
That's the beauty
Yeah.
of writing. Do you think that you will, or are you on? I looked for you on Substack. I know you mentioned
Not
Substack.
on I'm not on Substack, but
Okay.
it has become a medium for especially like well-known journalists who have lost their jobs at major media companies to go launch their own Substacks and monetize off of it.
Yes, yes. I was watching you have a video where maybe you were responding to just, people's experiences. These past several months and years have been trying on people economically, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, very good. All of your material is fantastic. I mean it. I could just watch and listen to you all night. And I'm on Substack right now, still trying to figure out and navigate, but it is a different landscape.
You'll have to send me your link.
Absolutely. Thank you, darling. I surely will. Um, but yeah, I love your material. I can't say that enough. Can't say
Thank
it. And I can see you. Know you can do lives on Substack as well. Um, you can not integrate, but connect your YouTube
Yeah.
channel to your Substack Substack hub. You can sell products on Substack. Your subscriber list, you own that. So you can send your newsletters and email list, regular emails to your subscribers or followers for free at no charge to you. You can do all of this on Substack at no charge to you, and you can provide free subscriptions. So check it. I'll send you a link. Yeah.
Yeah, please
I
do.
don't mean to be selling Substack, but it's a good place to be for someone as you're already doing. And you're right on point to you already have your domain for Zayla. So that's, like you said, that's the best type of ownership right there. So
Yeah.
good for you.
Thank you.
Please, 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 please come back. Please come
Yes,
to
I will.
Illinois.
I will. I will. I'd love to in a summertime.
And please call me if you need someone to hide in your bag as you go overseas, because I truly want to travel internationally. I haven't even been to Hawaii or Puerto Rico.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, we'll
I'm
have to make that
hungry,
happen.
hungry, hungry, hungry. I really want to go to South Africa. I want to buy a house in Durban. I'm saying all this on recording, which I don't mean to, but
Yeah, I hear great things about South Africa. It's on my list.
yes,
So
we'll
many
go.
people go there. Um, and I think it's got its challenges, but I think that there's a lot of beauty there.
Yeah, for years, I've heard great things about Johannesburg, Cape Town. Yes,
Yeah.
I absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I thank you. I thank you. I don't even know how to end it because I just want to keep talking. We'll
Thank
have to
you as
do
well.
absolutely, absolutely. Well, if you ever want to chat just over coffee, I'll send you a Zoom link or whatever. We'll just sip coffee, tea, and discuss mics and all kinds of things.
Sounds like a plan.
I truly enjoy you.
Me too. And yeah, we'll keep in touch. And do you know when this will be published?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. What's your vision for all that you have? Is there a book? Is there a play? Is there a script? Is there, tell me. I don't want to feed you. I want to hear what's in your core. What do you desire? What do you envision for the future of your endeavors?
I've had so many people tell me I need to write a book. I've not pursued it because I not felt how do I say this? I've not felt that I'm influential enough to write my story, but obviously people think otherwise. Um, yeah.
I So
Um,
I understand the statement you've just made.
yeah.
And I do understand your perspective because of course, we read books, the autobiography of Malcolm X or Sidney Portier or Cicely Tyson or, Queen Elizabeth. I understand your perspective. However, like you just explained, we're uniquely created, uniquely assigned, uniquely purposed with our own unique strategies, if you will, to his glory. He knows what he's doing through each of his creation.
Yeah.
And your story has captivated me for the few days. I first came across you. I was um, how did I find out about that? So let's see. I think
Moses the Black,
I looked
right?
up I don't know if I search for the film title Black Moses or not, but that's how I came across your interview with the director. She's a wonderful sister in Christ, by the way.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved the interview and learned so much from that conversation between the two of you. Opened my eyes on several levels. Right now, I can't tell you what those levels were, but it is a very, very fruitful conversation and
Thank
blessed many. I saw the comments of even those who really admire, respect, and care for her under
yeah.
your interview.
God puts us, He creates us all with a reason and a purpose, right? He predestines us to do whatever He has called us to do. So my career path has always been in the lane of like a communications, writing, business development field. Never in the math, sciences, not in, sports or any. It's always been in this field, this track lane. Now that I look back on it, in college, I worked in the writing center, but for me, it was just a job. I never saw myself as a good writer. Also, because, when I was at Trinity University, the women's college, I did well on my papers. I made A's, B's. And then when I got to GW, those professors just tore up my papers. And it was so hard and so challenging. I remember coming out of a professor's office crying once because he tore up my writing. So I never felt, GW was so much harder with writing, but I never saw myself as a writer, maybe because at GW, I was made to feel that I wasn't a good writer, but that was, I guess, God had this plan. I didn't work at the school newspaper or anything like that, but my internships, if you're privileged or blessed to go to college in DC, it's an exciting place because of all of the internships, especially if you're political government minded, international relations minded. So the internships that I had was in the communications departments of all of the places. So I guess, that was God's hand in my life, keeping me in that communications field right? But what got me into fashion writing is I was living in Lebanon. I went there to help with Syrian refugees. I was only planning to stay for 1 month and stayed for 3 years. And I needed some income. And I randomly wrote the then editor-in-chief of Harper's Bazaar Arabia asking if I could cover Lebanese designers. And she let me. And that's how that door into the fashion world opened. And writing is a skill that I believe one can easily hone, in that it's not like law where you've got to go learn the skills of law, or medicine, you've got to go to, engineering, you've got to learn these things. Writing, if I had to go do garden writing or political news writing, I could learn that over time. And with fashion writing, I learned that because writing is something that, if you've got to do it, you can do it, because we all have to write in our lives, right? But I can't go be a doctor, right? Because I'd have to go through training. But I was able to learn as I go. And I had this friend, a missionary who was from Minnesota, and he would come to Lebanon often to do mission trips. And he would always say, with Emmanuel, meaning Jesus, and Emmanuel, you can learn anything.
I've not heard that. I love it. Very clever. Now, is he a writer himself?
No, no,
Okay.
he did more like his gifting for the church was to AV and sound.
Oh,
He would
good.
use
Sure.
his skill
Because
to help
still
churches.
communications. Okay. I just heard the wordsmith in that.
Yeah,
So I thought that was really cool. I've not heard that before. Very clever. Very,
yeah.
very clever.
When God is calling you into something, he will equip you. And if you don't have the skills for it, he will get you trained up some kind of way.
Absolutely. I love that. Very inspiring. When you went to Lebanon, right?
Yeah.
Was that a missions trip or a volunteer? You went to go help, but can you give me a little bit more detail in regard to that?
Sure. So I had lived in, Berlin for 3 years, left, and then did some freelance work, and then I found myself back in DC in 20, oh gosh, when was this? 18. And I did a 6-month contract at the Organization of American States, consulting for them. And I was itching to get back abroad.
Okay.
And but that was God bubbling that up in me.
Yeah.
I didn't have peace, I didn't have contentment to stay in the US. And I thought, God, where are you calling me? Pressing in, because God doesn't, sometimes I guess he tells a person like that. But for me, it was a gradual thing. I had to push in, press in for
Mhm.
him to tell me. And I thought, okay, maybe I'll go back to Berlin. So when I finished up in DC, I went back to Berlin for a month. I house sat for an American friend and her husband. And she was getting ready to come back to Berlin. And I'm like, God, where am I supposed to go? Because, I can't stay, in their house. I got to get going when they leave. And I had about, gosh, maybe a week and a half before they returned, and God still hadn't given me clarity.
Okay.
And I was becoming frustrated and restless because I
That's a
didn't want
hard
to go back.
spot to be in. That's
Yeah,
that's a very tight spot to be in.
I could have, obviously come back to the US, right? Come back home, but I didn't want to.
Right.
I was already abroad and I was itching to not return home. So it was one Sunday after church, totally frustrated. And I just got down on my knees. Matthew 6 went into the quiet, secret place,
Yeah.
and I pressed in, wrestled and pressed in with the Lord.
Mhm.
God, you got to tell me, where are you taking me? Where do I go? Where am I going? Where am I? And I had interviewed a pastor for my podcast, Muhammad Yamut, a pastor, Muslim pastor, Christian turned, and he had a summer camp for Syrian refugees in Lebanon. And this was the time of the Syrian civil war. And so I was thinking, maybe I can go volunteer at this summer camp in Lebanon until God speaks and gives me more clarity. And so I reached out to Muhammad because I had interviewed him in May and this was July. And I said, "Do you need help with your summer camp? I can, come serve and help." And that's what I did. And my parents, ooh, they did not like it. They pushed back. And, my dad said, he's like, "I remember Lebanon had a civil war, and that's all that was on the news every day in the 70s or 80s. I don't want you going there. There's a civil war." I'm like, "Dad, the civil war ended in 1990." But I mean, and I feel like, that situation in the Bible, and I'm not comparing myself at all to Jesus. But when Peter said, don't die, don't do this. And Jesus said, "Get behind me, Satan." And I felt like my parents, they were putting on the pressure, "Don't go." And I just felt like I said to them, "Stop. I really feel God is calling me." The doors began to open when I reached out to Muhammad. The housing came. I found an affordable flight. Everything was just boom, boom, boom. The Red Sea parted and favor came to go. And when I got to Lebanon and I began to serve, because they were mad at me, my parents, they were trying to use my father, honor your father and your mother, so your days will be, he was trying to use that. And I created a WhatsApp group and I was just sending them the pictures and video every day of the people that I was meeting. And God was breaking my heart for the pain and the stories that I heard of war. And my parents began to see that God had called me there.
Yeah, that's, yeah, bless their hearts. That's all I'll say. Because we can only love people from the perspectives that we have.
Yeah,
And yeah, sometimes it's unfortunate, but parents can pull that whole authority card. But as you've identified yourself earlier in this conversation, at that point in your maturity, your Abba Father,
yes,
Daddy God, was the one that you had been consulting with.
yeah,
And it is tough for parents to understand the seasons have changed and the time has shifted, and your assignment has slightly been modified.
yeah.
And
And
it would
that
be
goes
less
back,
painful for you if you just recognize that.
and it goes back to what I was saying when we leave our parents' home, whether it's in marriage or, job, you're an adult, God becomes the ultimate parent. And he has to tell each person and direct and show each person why he put them on this earth. And my parents or parents no longer have the authority to pull that card. "You must listen and honor me." And I said this to my dad. I said, "Yes, you are my father, and I love you and I respect your opinion, but God is calling me to do this, and I must obey him." And I realize that this must be hard. And I know Lebanon, I don't know what it's like to be a parent, to hear that your child is going to this far off place in the Middle East has got to be scary. And I respect that. But God is telling me to do this. And if I didn't go to Lebanon, Mel, I would not have had, I wouldn't have posted that picture with those designs. It was Lebanon that opened the door to the fashion world because by being there, I began to contribute and cover Lebanese fashion because the Lebanese are very gifted in haute couture design. And if I did not do that, it would be no Cannes Film Festival. It would be no Venice Film Festival. It would be none of this entertainment, fashion, Paris Fashion Week, none of it. Because I had to go to Lebanon. And when I obeyed God to do that, to go and serve and to help people in war, it led to what I'm doing now. So I think it's a testament.
Mhm.
And I spoke that to my mom, a couple of years ago. The five-star hotel reviews that I've taken her on, I said it would be none of that.
Right.
without me having gone to serve, to
Yeah.
get my hands dirty and to sit. And I keep on my phone's background screen. It's sitting in a tent with
Yeah.
Syrian refugees who were going through war,
Beautiful.
serving and helping that led to the glamour and five-star life
Yeah.
of fashion.
Yeah. I want to ask you, um, was that a time that you consider a pivotal point of you finding your voice and inner leadership?
Yes, I've not thought about it that way, but yes. And not to toot my own horn, but I have so much warfare of trying to keep me out of these spaces. But again, God called me into these spaces, and oftentimes, the things that God calls us to do, we have pushback against it. But yes, I do believe that that was a pivotal moment because God began to I guess show identity and to show me, to tell me, to guide me of this is why I've put you on this earth.
Can you break that down? Do you mind?
Mhm.
Um, Tell me a little bit more what you mean when you say this is why. And because you're saying that you're discovering your purpose through this, and yes, when you have spiritual warfare, is what you're referring to when you say warfare, am I right?
Mhm. Mhm.
When there's that spiritual warfare, many times that's evidence that you're right on
Mhm.
point
Mhm.
with God's assignment for your life. Are you
Mhm.
open to go a little bit deeper and be?
A little bit.
Mhm.
There's things I can say to you when we're not
Sure.
recording, but what I will say is, like what I was saying earlier, God does not make a mistake in each life that he creates. All of us have been put here to do something that no one else can do. And it takes time sometimes for people to find their purpose, their identity. When you find out why God put you on this earth, it is a very freeing moment, and purposeful moment to know that it's identity, right? And yeah, when we have identity, it brings freedom because then we know, okay, this is how I move through the earth. This is how I move through life. This is why I pursue the things I pursue, put myself around the people and things. And I think the things that we struggle with the most, like what I was saying earlier with public speaking, if somebody struggles with public speaking or whatever it is, that often is the thing that you're called to do. Now, I'm not saying I meant to be a speaker in any sense.
You are, stop.
Well, a podcaster, maybe not an arena speaker, but to be able to in order for me to break out of my fear of public speaking as a child, God, okay, start a college Republicans, because I wouldn't have been able to have the courage to even do a podcast or be able to go to a fashion week and push in and ask a designer, hey, what can you to get some quotes? What inspired this collection? Without having started a college Republican. So um, maybe that's a reason. One of the reasons why I was put on this earth was to speak in small spaces, not not an arena, but yeah, when God gave me clarity from Lebanon, Lebanon opened up the doors to what I do now. I have received a lot of pushback from that. And that's what I was saying before. I'm learning to entrepreneurially create my own tables because I've been pushed out of tables to create my own. Zayla is an example of creating my own table.
Zela being the magazine, the online magazine platform,
Yeah.
the web address. of course, HTTPS, :// or SEELE.com. Am I
SEELEMAG.com, SeeleMag.com.
excellent? Excellent. And of course, I will make sure that that's available as well. Seele. Did I say it right? No, Seele.
Seele, yes. It's
Seele.
the German word for soul.
Soul, yes.
Oh, yeah.
It has its own IG page.
It does. Seele Mag is
Excellent.
at Seele Mag, yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, I really do enjoy your content.
Yelena is amazing. She is also very, what's a word for, she gives up her time. She, instead of just giving blanket 2, 3 sentence answers, she tells the story. She tells her story. She goes into detail. She pours in. She gives up her time. And I think that's because she has a lot to tell. She went through her own dry wilderness seasons of trying to make it as a director and had a lot of pushback in many years where things weren't opening up for her. And her previous film, Man of God, and now Moses the Black, it's, God making a way for her in her artistic life of being a film director. And she loves the Lord, and she's had that born again experience, and she's genuine. And I do appreciate her and value her. And did you see the film?
No, did you? Oh,
Yes,
did
I
you
went
see it at
to.
cons?
No, it
Oh,
came out the 30th of January. They had a film premiere in LA in January, and I went to it. And yeah,
wonderful.
I got to see some of the cast and Wiz Khalifa and meeting
Let me think
50
about this.
Cent.
I think I saw, did you take pictures with her?
Yes.
I did see that.
Moses is an inspiring person that most of us don't know about. This black gangster man in, was it the fourth century? 5th century, I can't remember what century, but terrorizing people, kind of like an
Nonfiction.
Apostle
I mean,
Paul.
this is a non-fictional actual person. Is that
Yes,
right?
yes. In, I think, 4th century Egypt, he was a black man, not Arab. Not that means anything. But he terrorized people like a Saul before becoming Apostle Paul. And he had this radical transformation, and where he, quoted Jesus, the real Moses the Black: if you live by the sword, you'll die by the sword. So he laid his sword down and became born again, and ultimately lost his life, but became a saint in the Orthodox Church. So he's revered in the well, just in Orthodoxy as a whole, he's a saint. And yeah, the story, the movie that's out now parallels between the real Moses the Black and this 2026 figure played by Omar Epps, who's this gangster in South Side of Chicago living by the sword, yet has a radical transformation himself with Christ and lays down his, well, instead of a sword, guns, lays it down. And I won't tell what happens, but yeah, it's worth seeing.
Yeah, but and I appreciate she gave such credit to the crew members from the. I think she said a lot of them were from the west side of Chicago, and I love the intimate relationships she was able to form. Beautiful woman. Now, I did ask, which organizations or individuals do you hope to work with or promote as producers of goodness of humanity? I don't know if does that question make sense to you?
Yes, it does. She doesn't need any promotion, but I would love to sit down with Christine Kane. I think that she has a wealth of wisdom and Bible-centered wisdom, particularly on leadership. I would love to chat with her. She just did a phenomenal podcast interview with Lecrae, and I was blessed and encouraged by it. So